Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Happy Friday. I'm coming to you live on October 10th, 2025, and we're doing live tarot readings on the channel this evening. If you guys like my content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, help the channel grow. Make sure you guys click the bell button so you get alerts as to when we have other videos. We're here every Friday and we alter between tarot and astrology live readings. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for joining me this Friday evening. I'm excited. Obviously, we're here live also, so if you're seeing this on Saturday or Sunday, we're no longer live. But if we missed you, we hope to catch you guys back here next week for live astrology readings for the new moon in Libra. Please consider joining my memberships. All of the memberships are going to get you early access to my content videos. I'm putting out videos every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. You guys get to see that stuff early, and I'm actually working on some kind of extra little goodies and some vlogs and some other things that I'm trying to put together before the end of the year. So you guys, I guess, joining my memberships on any of the levels really supports me as a full-time content creator. If you guys haven't seen my content, it is long format, educational, kind of teaching astrology as we go and doing lots of videos like new and full moon reports, retrogrades, eclipses, horoscopes, the whole 9 yards. So thank you guys so much. And sorry for the delay. We have like a fussy overhead camera that's being a little bit of a pain in the ass this evening. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it hangs in there. This Sunday, we're going to be talking about Venus entering Libra on the channel. That's going to be the astro weather. Honestly, some much needed good news because Venus's transits have been horrendous. But enough about that. If you guys want to see more about me and my work, or if you'd like to learn tarot, I'd love to teach you. Click the links below in the description. Head over to beyondtheveiltarot.com. There you guys can see my courses. You can book a one-on-one reading with me. Check out my products while I'm there. I've got some really cute tarot tote bags. And definitely sign up for my newsletter. Now, I will not spam you, but we always do a bunch of kind of drops in usually November and December. So usually that's when I put out my calendars for the next year. So we are going to have 2026 Astro calendars. If you guys have seen those, we had a digital and a print version. We will be doing that. We also generally do some specials on my courses. And nobody knows yet, but I'm getting ready to hopefully put out my tarot deck very soon. So you guys will get to see all of that probably live on one of my live tarot readings before I start putting them for sale. So I'm going to be getting those from the printers probably in the next week or so. So I'll be talking about that probably on my vlogs. Anyway, thank you guys so much. We're going to obviously be taking our level 4 members first. So I saw Corey's here. What's up, Corey? If there's any other level 4 people who would like to get their reading for the month, don't hesitate. Let me know if you want to cash in. Otherwise, I'll catch you on another Friday. Just doing a drop-in. We've got a lot of people here, so it's nice to see a full house on Friday night. Matt's here with some questions. What's up, Aaron? We don't take Venmo, but I did see an Aaron come through PayPal, so let me know if that was you. David's in the chat. Dorothy's here. What's up, Dorothy? And we've got B. Lachelle, Ascending Your Truth. How's it going? Leo's here. Zara's here. Mez. Who else is here? What's up, Silk? Yolette, happy Friday. So the way that this works is if you want to get a reading, scan the QR code right up there. It's going to take you to my PayPal. While you're there, please make sure you put your question in the memo box. We're going to be doing 1-card tarot spreads for $20. Donation 3-card spreads for $40. And you guys can ask multiple questions if you want to send multiple questions in different amounts, if that's what you dig. But we're going to start first with Corey, and then I've got Tanya, Danielle, Vanessa's got some questions, Alana, Matt's got a couple questions, Austin, Aaron, Silk, and Tiana. Let me see if there's anybody else that I'm missing. And we will update the list, so if you hear me calling out your name, it means that your reading is coming up next, so your reading's on deck. If you guys can't hang around until your reading comes up, no worries. We leave these videos up so you can come back at a later date, and you guys can watch this once the video is no longer live. Also, come back and give me feedback after you guys see your readings kind of play out. I see people go and leave comments like months later on some of the lives, so it'd be great to see what you guys end up having kind of turn out after your reading. And please, yes, remember to hit that like button. So what's up? Do I ever do free questions? I do not do free questions, but we do take donations for readings. maybe at some point we'll pop in and do them, but we get so many people in here who want to get readings for donations, but maybe in the future. All right, so let's start with Corey, and then Tanya and Danielle and Vanessa. You guys are all on deck, so you guys will be next. Corey, thank you for being a level 4 member. I appreciate you. I know you're paying for a reading, but we'll take you first. Red Druidess says, hey Candace, I got a notice that applications were open for a fully remote position doing what I do now at a place in another state. It would be a significant pay cut, but one I'd be willing to take for a fully remote position. Is it worth looking into? All right, let's take a look. So let's see what the cards have to say for giving Corey some insight. Does it make sense for her to consider taking a pay cut and looking into taking this remote position? The card that I get for you is the King of Cups. Obviously a pretty positive card. What's weird is when I was pulling the cards, I was kind of like, all right, to me, it feels like there is definitely a path forward for you to be able to make that segue into being able to work remotely. And when you say like, oh, I'd be willing to make that change just to have like a change in like my work dynamic, I feel like a lot of it is finally making that jump and then being like, you know what, I'm gonna have to give something up. But like the emotional rebalancing that may come from this, I think might be really beneficial. So if you really see the benefit of taking the pay cut being worth it, especially on an emotional or like a psychological level. Obviously the King of Cups does talk about having better emotional balance, feeling a little bit more grounded, feeling a little bit more at ease, and just like the peace of mind that might potentially come from making that segue. Cups also deal with relationships. So this can mean that, you know, if you're questioning whether or not, you know, if you apply for this position, if you're going to get a call back or if they're going to be interested in working with you, this is a card that you want because it does talk about at the very least kind of reaching across and being like, hey, let's connect, let's have an interview, let's talk about what brings you to us, why do you think you would be a good fit? And I honestly feel like if you're good at what you do or if you at least enjoy what you're doing, this is going to be something that's going to really kind of translate in the middle of like going back and forth with somebody during an interview process. This would be a yes card for me. So if it was just a simple yes or no, you know, should I look into it? Yes. Why? Because it looks like it would give you some emotional kind of reprieves. And also I do feel like it may be something for you that's going to be less energetically draining, not having to physically be at a location and being with someone. So depending on what you do specifically, I don't know. But I do think that this is going to be worth the kind of the peace of mind and the balance that this might potentially, you know, kind of give you if you make that jump into doing something that's going to be remote, right? So she says, yeah, the commute is atrocious. Well, and the other thing is that when you deal with the cups, I feel like this is something that's kind of like your intuition or your gut is telling you like, hey, this is a good move, or like this is a good kind of opportunity to kind of get out of what you're doing now. So it might also be like a segue where maybe you're just shifting to working remotely and then you do this for a period of time. And then when you feel like you're ready to kind of venture off to other things or, you know, to kind of leave that particular industry because you know that it's time, this might be that bridge helping you start to kind of scale back from doing that until you're ready to kind of spread your wings. So a lot of this is also about kind of making the necessary kind of adjustments based off of what you're feeling intuitively. So I say do it. Definitely a positive card, and it feels like there will at very least be some kind of like interview process that you'll be able to kind of go through. Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, so we've got Tanya, Danielle, and Vanessa. Tarot deck is only limited run. I better get one. Yeah, we're only gonna do probably about 100 of them. That's what I'm kind of thinking. I'm waiting to get those from the printer. Bear with us. The overhead camera goes out. It's been giving us issues today, so fingers crossed that it stays good, but it's been kind of finicky. All right, let's take Danielle, and let's see what Danielle has to say. Oh, and we've got Tanya too, so sorry about that. Tanya and then Danielle. Okay, Tanya's got a 3-card reading. She says, hi, it's Tanya. I'm a Virgo rising, Pisces sun, Mercury in Pisces, Taurus moon. I just wanted a general check-in reading lately. I've been feeling really undone. Like I'm moving through life one day at a time, focused on work and relationships, but surrounded by so much uncertainty and chaos in the world. I'm feeling existential and confused about my direction. I've also been doing something called the presence process, a 10-week breathing and meditation practice that's been helping me stay centered, but I'd love some guidance for the rest of the year. All right, let's take a look. What's up, Steph? I can only imagine being a Virgo rising and a Pisces sun and then kind of just getting almost kind of like wrecked in the last month with the eclipses, where there's this complete clearing that's happening for you physically or like personally, like old identities are getting kind of thrown out when you're dealing with the South Node eclipses in your first house. You kind of feel like the winds get knocked out of your sail too. And then the lunar eclipse obviously happening in Pisces as well. So I like the fact that you're talking about you can kind of going through like meditation programs and stuff. That's very North Node in Pisces. And the 7th house is also about like bringing in partnerships and support. So, okay, you're going to hear it's eclipses that deal with relationships, but it's really great for working with like meditation coaches, therapists, astrologers, and getting feedback from people who are kind of more Piscean to help kind of break down some of that more analytical South Node and Virgo transits that you've been going through. Anyway, these are the cards that I have for you. The 8 of Swords, the 2 of Swords, and the Magician card. So, wow, I actually kind of like the flow with this. It does, I mean, 8 of Swords, 9 of Swords, very kind of anxiety-ridden cards. So for the 8 of Swords to be coming up in the previous position, it really talks about having been in a situation in recent weeks where you have felt like you're stuck, right? And you're not really entirely sure how to move forward. Obviously, 8s deal with transition and transformation, kind of getting from one point to another, and it does kind of require us to kind of peel back layers and let go of things. So the element of Swords deals with air. So it's about communication, intellect, information. It can mean that some of the anxiety and the stress that's kind of coming up is stuff that you did not necessarily know was residing in your body. It can also represent like where there's been fears or phobias or things that you have been afraid to kind of like talk about, think about, or kind of overcome. And this is what you're moving away from. The positive is that, at least with this card, you know, even though she looks like she's bound, she does not have anything that's actually keeping her from being able to kind of like escape. The blindfold, which you see in both of these images, the 8 of Swords and the 2 of Swords, really talks about, number one, honing in on your intuition, really listening to your gut, also learning to kind of silence your mind and taking a step back. And air and Swords is about breathing. So moving out of a place of where you feel stuck or you feel limited, moving into a place where anything is possible. 2 of Swords does talk about making a conscious decision, feeling like you have to pick between, you know, 2 different directions or 2 different perspectives or even 2 different sides of a situation. This is a card that's kind of taking you out of, you know, flight or fight, and also it's putting you into a situation where when you're given the tools and the necessary abilities, I think, to really learn to decipher what is your kind of intuition versus what is anxiety, you're going to make better grounded decisions, and you're also going to be aware of what you're kind of manifesting and bringing in. So that's the thing about like stress and anxiety and worry. You know, we could be, you know, hashing out or kind of mulling over emotional things from the past. We could be stressed out and worrying about the future. And like when we're doing both of those things, future tripping and like dreading, you know, like what's happened in the past, like we're not present. So we're not able to actually make decisions or like send positive, you know, kind of energy out into the future to kind of manifest what we want. So it's looking to me like you're really clearing a lot of your mental channels. So what's looking like, you know, between now and let's say the new year, is that you have been working out of some of these habits. You're still in the process of like catching yourself and seeing where you have the opportunity to react to things differently, or you're being given the opportunity to also weigh certain situations out and not feel like you're trapped, because that 8 of Swords to me feels like it's about feeling trapped, like you're running out of time, like you don't have enough space, you're not being given the freedom to make decisions. And the 2 of Swords is like, okay, let's simplify and let's kind of start looking at things where if this happened, is it really the worst case scenario? Probably not. So what is my, you know, potential future if I go down that path? So it's opening up different potentials for you. It's also teaching you how to deal with stress and like worry in a much more like mature and calm manner. And the Two of Swords is also saying that over the next like 2 or 3 months, you're really being asked to let go of any insecurities, any like blockages, any fears. It's also about kind of dealing with things head on and not like turning a blind eye to problems. I think a lot of it's about making them bigger and dealing with them so that way you don't feel like you're getting stuck or you're repeating old patterns. Then we've got the Magician card, which is obviously a major arcana card. This is basically creating your own reality. So you go from feeling stuck to starting to question, actually, how did I get here? Do I have the capabilities of being able to make change, to being like, heck yeah, I do, and being the master of your own reality. This is the card that also deals with Uranus. It's very strongly kind of tied to, you know, sudden changes and manifestations and tapping into your goals and your dreams. I feel like this is becoming more aware of where intention and energy flows, like things happen. So it's trying to kind of get you to be more mindful of that rather than sending out psychic SOS calls. It's a lot of everything is working out for me, right? Everything is kind of panning out. The universe has my back. The universe is handling the details. This is, you know, an exciting time because everything is coming, you know, that I'm kind of manifesting. So there's this shift of this like frame of mind. You might look at this with the Magician card and also being a Virgo rising and be like, that's kind of crazy. That's not how life works. And you will deal with some people with your, you know, North Node, Pisces eclipses in your 7th house that are coming in that are activating your sun, right? The sun rules your 12th house. So hypnotists, meditators, you know, people who are into past life regression, therapists, astrologers, psychics, all of these people are going to be like, hey, hello, you know, if you're wondering what the next step is going to be when it comes to your relationships, you know, stop worrying about worst case scenario, 12th house Lord, start focusing on some of these habits so that way you can actually get into the kind of vibrational sync with what you're trying to kind of pull in. So the Magician card is saying you have everything at your disposal. It can mean that you're working with, obviously, you know, the element of earth. Maybe you're eating better, you're grounding, right? And you're focusing on spending time in nature. The element of water, you're really focusing on honing in on your intuition and like doing some of that work with meditation. The swords can be more talking about breath work or anything connecting to journaling or writing. And obviously the wand or anything kind of connected to fire can also be about taking action. So it's going to be like this several step action plan where it's a combination of, you know, doing the physical, emotional, spiritual work all at the same time. And when you start to bring those things together, you really start to see magic happen. I think about being a Virgo rising and like Uranus is kind of, you know, throwing some curveballs into your career for sure. A retrograde that's coming into your 4th house. That means there could be some changes on the home front. And a continuation of eclipses in your 7th house is a really prominent time for relationships. Don't be concerned about whether or not things are going to be okay. Be more concerned with, I know there is going to be change. In order to kind of navigate this, I have to be flexible and I have to be welcoming some of this change and getting excited rather than kind of dreading and feeling like things are falling apart. If you can approach, you know, some of these changes with excitement, you're going to navigate it much better. And also you're going to find some serendipitous kind of moments and opportunities where I think it could actually be really beneficial for your growth all around. Obviously, there will still be, you know, retrogrades in Pisces next spring. There's going to be eclipses that are going to be happening still in your sign Virgo. So you'll miss the Pisces eclipse next spring. But for the most part, I do think that this is going to be a really magical time where you're starting to feel like you can kind of play with some of the energy and you're going to have a little bit more of like involvement in manifesting some of the things that are going to come in rather than feeling like life is just kind of happening to you, right? Hopefully that's helpful. Definitely let me know what happens. What's up, Robbie? Thanks, Austin. Appreciate it. All right, so now we have got Danielle and we have got Vanessa that's going to be coming in. What's up, Danielle? Danielle says 518-81. 3 cards. I miss someone. What's going on with him? It's been 2 years. Well, let's take a look. What can we tell Danielle about who she's missing? All right, in this order, we've got the Hierophant, the 6 of Coins, and the 8 of Swords. That better not be the card of the evening, I swear. Well, the Hierophant's calling out very specific things. So we can be talking about a specific sign. Obviously, you know, you're a Taurus, that's the sign for Taurus. But it can be talking about like practicality and the reality of whether or not you guys can actually come together given your separate relationship situations or statuses. So it can mean that one of you is single, one of you is in a committed relationship. It can mean that one of you is interested in connecting, especially with the 6 of coins coming up, but the other person is feeling kind of stuck. I've got it, 5181. Yeah, I've got you 5181 is what it says on my PayPal. With the Hierophant, it also kind of talks about like trying to approach this connection in a way that feels like fair and also in a way that feels like it's responsible and something that is going to be like practical. Obviously, these are kind of like Taurus related words, but the Hierophant's about getting advice when it comes to approaching this relationship dynamic and really asking yourself, do I want them in the state or the situation that they're in now? And so sometimes when this card comes up, it could mean they're not ready for commitment. Sometimes when it comes up, it can also mean that somebody's in an existing relationship and that it's really kind of saying to you, really think long and hard about whether or not you want to invite this energy back in. Not that it's negative, it's just saying there is going to be some hangups or there is going to be some commitments that are going on with one person that's going to hinder your guys' ability to kind of connect and be together. Now, the 6 of coins is a positive card. This is a card that's of give and take, so it can make me feel like there is an energy right now that is opening up to the possibility of you guys being able to interact, but the coins is a card that is a little bit more detached. It's more practical, logical. It's not super like relationship oriented. It means that if you were to run into this person on the street, if you guys were to run into each other at a party or something social, it would be cordial. You guys would say hi to each other, you would interact, there would be an exchange, and then that would be it. So more or less, I'm kind of wondering like, you know, is it a situation where the relationship dissolved because one person couldn't give the other person what they wanted? Is it a situation where there is a lot of love there, but also there's a lot of limitations because one person is the person who's kind of, you know, feeding or filling up the other person's cup and not really getting a lot in return? Because the Hierophant coming up with the 6 of coins is saying the lesson to this particular relationship is don't put so much into it if you're not getting anything in return. Don't be putting all of your eggs in that basket, hoping or assuming, hey, they're going to give me, you know, forever, or they're going to want to settle down or get married. This is a card that deals with marriage. And so to an extent, it's kind of saying it's trying to kind of keep the balance, trying to keep the distance until the other person has really thought this through and decided whether or not, you know, emotionally, are they ready to kind of meet you where you are? And so there is still a 6-month window that you're kind of working with, that this might be continuing to happen, can be alluding to some things that could be changing, particularly in 6 months as we're kind of getting into the sign of Taurus season, so kind of April, May. The problem is the final card is the 8 of Swords. So it's telling me that even though yes, you guys are a really good match. Maybe not in society's terms because one person doesn't want commitment, one person does, or one person's entangled in a relationship, one person's free. But there is a good vibrational match here. You guys have a lot in common. There's a lot of similarities. There's appreciation for one another. But the 8 of Swords is kind of telling me until this imbalance has been worked out, until he has decided not only does he want to have, you know, feelings for you, but also he's willing to kind of show up and be committed, there is going to be a limitation. And, you know, the 8 of Swords can be a card that talks about being stressed out, you know, being concerned, being worried. Also, sometimes I see this come up as like a media blackout where it's like, I've blocked them, I haven't seen any of their stuff, or like I haven't spoken to them in so long, I don't know what's going on with them, or, you know, they don't respond back to me, they look at my stories, but they don't talk to me. There is some major disconnect that's going on between the two of you. So I don't think it's just a situation where you've been waiting 2 years for somebody to be ready and you still see them and you interact with them. Like this is saying like there's been no interaction, there's no connection. In fact, it can mean that you're getting kind of squirrely and you're starting to question whether or not the connection is still there, or if it's going to still be there in the future, or there is this fear that you're going to miss your opportunity or you're going to miss your mark. Not necessarily. I don't think so. I feel like this is actually more like a protecting energy that's saying like until he picks a lane, because I do think there's feelings for one another, but until he picks a lane, you're going to continue to be in this place where you're kind of questioning, wondering, and waiting. I would take a look at, you know, when there's some major transits that are going on involving your 7th house ruler. So if I think I remember correctly, Cancer rising, right? So you want to go and look at where your Saturn transits are right now. So you've got like Saturn going through Pisces again in your ninth. So that could be at a distance. There's been a lot of oppositions the last month. It's been an opposition to Saturn, feeling at a distance. But there's definitely going to be like a major ramping up of energy that's going to be happening for you right at the end of the year. So you're going to see a beautiful stellium of planets go through Capricorn end of December, beginning of February. And then we're also going to see some planets kind of coming into conjunction with Saturn. And that will actually be happening for you like in the spring next year. But for right now, this kind of like blackout that you're experiencing where you're not really connected to him, I think is actually for the best, because it's also simultaneously allowing space and time for somebody to come in that would be a better match, or somebody who would be able to, you know, kind of give you what you feel like you were kind of denied in that relationship, especially if you're holding out for something more serious and commitment oriented. You know, the Hierophant can be saying it's really a test to see, well, how much do you want, you know, a healthy, long lasting relationship? Okay, great. Then we're trying to kind of set you up with people who can give you what you need. And there can be sometimes like a tendency to become super focused on, oh my God, they're not here. What's going on? I'm not seeing them. And you'll kind of like miss opportunities that can kind of be happening around you. So keep your eyes out for other people who might pop in. Good luck. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, so we have got Danielle, and then Vanessa and Alana. All right. So Danielle says, oh no, sorry, that was Danielle. You're welcome. We've got Vanessa, and then we've got Alana and Austin. What's up, Vanessa? How's it going? All right, so Vanessa says, hi, my daughter has a few questions. All right, I'm here to handle it. Thanks, Lily. I'll do an update for you guys in just a little bit, but readings are open, so if you guys want to get one, scan the QR code and you can get on the queue. All right, so Vanessa says, hey, my daughter has a few questions. She is a Cap Sun Aquarius Moon. She wants to know if the boy she has been on and off with for 3 years, he recently came back after no contact for 6 months, is genuinely interested in something solid with her, or is he just wasting her time? He's a Libra with a sun in he's a Libra sun and Leo moon. He lacks in planning or going through with dates, seeing her. Is he just entertaining multiple girls or is he entertaining multiple girls and just talking to my daughter because he's bored, or are they a good match for each other? Do you see anything exciting in my daughter's near future, generally speaking? Will she meet another guy that's more on her maturity level? What else can you tell her to look forward to at the end of the year? Any insight on things to do and not to do? All right, well, let's take a look. So what's the deal with the Libra that came back? Is it a good idea for that to continue? Does it look like he is solid, or is there something else that is opening up for her, and any other advice that she needs to know? All right. The cards that you get are the Six of Cups, the Five of Swords, and the Two of Coins. Off the bat, not crazy about this one. I'm not being judgmental. It's just, you know, the Six of Cups is like the reunion card, coming back around, reconnecting. Her liking that because obviously there's feelings there, and also there was like maybe some kind of hope that there would be like a reunion or a reconnection. And obviously both of each other feel very safe and feel kind of like, oh, like there's something there that would bring them back, right? So there is a genuine like for another. But with the Five of Swords and the Two of Coins makes me feel like there is going to be reoccurring issues that are going to come up between the two of them, where they're going to either bicker, there's going to be some communication problems, her wanting to address issues with him not really wanting to, you know, give her a response or like deal with it or communicate in a mature way, and kind of leaving her holding the bag and wondering like, wait a second, why would you come back if you're going to come back and you're going to cause problems? And also I think this is a card that's about kind of like not going into the relationship dynamic, being like, where have you been? What have you been doing? If she does decide to give him another chance, it's a matter of being like, okay, let's see what he does with it. And let's see if he's actually going to prioritize me. But I do feel like if he does screw up, or if he is kind of repeating some of the past patterns that he had in other, you know, past relationship dealings, like when she's calling him on it and trying to get him to be aware of it, trying to talk to him, you know, about some of the issues that she's having, she's going to feel like he's just going to bail. You know, when I see the Five of Swords, it's like somebody being like, hey, I want to talk about this. And people are like walking away. They're not actually giving them, you know, the common courtesy to sit down and kind of talk about it and hash it out and like work on the relationship. So she's going to feel like she's not being prioritized. She's also going to question whether or not he's juggling. There's no specific women coming up in the cards that's saying like, yeah, he's dating a girl and he's trying to date her. But I do think the Two of Coins can basically be saying he's coming back because, number one, he's not in a relationship. Now he's available. Maybe he feels like he's worn out his welcome elsewhere, so he's returning back to what feels familiar. There's some love there between the two of them, but I feel like she's going to return to some of the same patterns that she's had with him in the past. And when she tries to confront that and talk about why some of these things are happening, he's not going to be consistent, and he's going to almost make her feel like, you know, she's not necessarily replaceable, but like that there's other people. And the Two of Coins is kind of like, if she does decide to engage with him, it's about not putting all of her eggs in that basket and being like, yes, I'll take him back. We'll be together. Let's make it work. It's about being like, we'll take it slow. We can hang out, but he's going to have to kind of earn her trust back. And that, you know, if there's anything that comes up that she doesn't like or anything that she tries to address, if he's not willing to have, you know, mature adult communication with her, well then, you know, she has to be kind of willing to take a step back and consider other options. Because there is this sense with the Two of Pentacles coming up that's saying like somebody's going to be juggling something. As the confirmation card, I get the Justice card. So that means that it is going to be the Libra that's going to be doing that. You know, I don't know the rest of his astrology. I can just speak to the fact that as a Libra rising or a Libra sun, you know, having had Saturn, you know, go into Aries, Neptune go into Aries, it's about kind of separating or having some distance or a cooling off period with certain relationships, or somebody being like, I'm done with this, I'm on my way out. And it could have been really kind of lighting up, especially around like the spring of this year. Being that his moon is in Leo, you know, he's very social. So I think also about the Mercury retrogrades, the Venus retrogrades, the Mars retrogrades that have happened in recent years over his moon. And that can also change a lot of who is he friends with versus like who is he dating. So she says his idea of a date is going to his house. Schmidt, yeah, no, not your daughter, girl. The first things first I would say to her is I would basically be like, if he wants to reconnect, he needs to impress you. Because these cards are not very impressive to me. He's coming back around, but there's not going to be a lot of, oh, this is what, you know, I realized I did wrong. I missed you. I should have done X, Y, and Z. You know, let's work on our relationship. Like, I'm not seeing that. And I get the feeling that for him to be a Libra sun and the confirmation card to be the Justice card, this is a guy that's going to still kind of juggle. Like, I don't want to tell you that, but like, you know, that's what it is. He's still going to kind of see if he can come in and if he's going to have something that's going to be familiar and easy that he can coast into. And if he feels like she's asking too many questions or she has too high expectations, he's going to start juggling somebody else. So the positive here is going into it, you know, she doesn't have to be totally kind of like, you know, committed to him. She can see how it goes. But also, there's going to be some pretty dynamic energies that are going to be happening apparently around Libra's season. Now, this can mean there could be another relationship coming in for her. I would tell her to keep her options open. I think about how, like, you know, anybody who's got Aquarius placement in their chart is going to be really kind of benefiting from lots of changes that are going to be happening socially with some of the air trines over the next week. You know, she's a Capricorn, you know, and Jupiter is in her opposite sign. So that means that there's also going to be lots of opportunity for new relationships and people to come in. Cancer is where Jupiter is, and that represents people from the past. So with Jupiter in opposition to her sun, I think it's the time to take a step back and really be reevaluating and reassessing, you know, does she really know this person? Can she really trust this person? Are there things that leave her feeling like she can't commit to him or that she can't really trust him? If so, she has to kind of get that stuff out. And Vanessa says, invest in her and prioritize her, and he's not doing any of that. Yeah, don't waste a good Jupiter transit on somebody who's going to keep doing the same thing. Tell her to kind of keep her eyes open and see what else is popping in. But likely there's going to still be a bit of like juggling and shifting that's going to go on. And you know, next year, Saturn and Neptune is still going to go into Aries. And for some Libra suns, it can mean, you know, partners are getting sick and tired of feeling like they're going back and forth with, you know, with a partner. Well, when in reality, the partners are standing up for themselves. So that could be a very important lesson for her, especially kind of February through April of next year. But don't get too attached to this one is my advice, okay? And I do think that relationship stuff can be better, but she doesn't want to kind of block those energies by holding up too much space for him, right? Watch for stuff to be really kind of taking place over the next month. All right, so Vanessa also says, I want to know why my neighbors are so obnoxiously weird and biased towards me and only me. Every time I'm outside watering or just hanging out outside, 3 of them make an issue asking stupid questions like what I'm doing, why I'm watering, or they lock me out. They're fucking weird. Why don't they just let me be? Should I be worried about them? Please advise. Sounds like it's all of your Virgo placements in the 3rd house. Okay. I know you have like that cluster of some Virgo energy in your 3rd, and like the last couple of months there's been South Node eclipses through there. So like the neighbors have been a little bit more agitating and nosy than normal, or they're acting up. Mars went through there, so they were kind of like irritating. The eclipse went through there at the end of September, and you were like, oh my God, just give me some privacy, give me some space. So I think that's part of why this is getting kicked up, but let's see if the tarot can give us any insight on what the deal with Vanessa's neighbors are. All right. The card that I got for you is the 8 of Coins. I kind of get the impression that, you know, I don't know if this is a situation where you've got people who are either at home all the time, working from home, stay-at-home people, unemployed, you know, maybe they're retired, maybe they're just jobless, I don't know, but I get the impression that it's like when you're coming and going from your house, like you're on a mission, right? If you're watering the grass, if you're bringing in groceries, if you're cleaning up your yard, like anything like that, like there's a sense of you going out there only if you have something to do, and it sounds like they have nothing better to do. So because they're always just kind of hanging around and like kicking rocks around the neighborhood, like when they see you coming and going and you're on a mission and you're not just trying to just kick it on the block, they're going to bother you. And it's because they don't really have anything to do. 8 of Coins is talking about also like somebody who cares about what's going on with your front space. Whether that's, you know, you don't want stuff looking messy or dirty, you're putting things away, you're watering your garden. Like there is also a sense of people kind of being like, what is she running around doing? Or like, why is she so busy? Or why does she care so much? And like other people seem to have like a bit of a problem with that. I do think that the 8 of Coins is about staying busy, working hard. I mean, I've seen your chart. You have a ton of cardinal energy in your chart with all the Cancer and like the Libra stuff. And you like your space to look nice. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like there can definitely be people who can be kind of judgmental and potentially even like a little jealous of the fact that you pay attention to the details. 8 of Coins is about, you know, getting your job done, making sure everything is done, you know, properly, making sure everything looks nice and prim and proper. And also just being super focused with what you're doing, that you're like, I'm not out here to just like hang out and, you know, like shoot the shit. I'm here to get my work done. And so people may see that as, well, who is this girl? Like she's too cool for school. Like she doesn't want to interact with us. And I really feel like they don't really have anything else better going on. So they're kind of hyper focused on whatever you're doing. And they think that for whatever reason, it's interesting. AKA they have nothing better to do. Just started referring to them as planners. I mean, it's nothing personal. It's not like anybody's got anything personal towards you. I just feel like, you know, these might be people who might be a little jealous or envious of either your attention to detail or the fact that like you have things to do, you have places to be, you have responsibilities. And I feel like this is people who are probably getting sick and tired of either not having something to do or like they don't want to continue to just stay inside and like watch TV. So they're just going to kind of see what's going on with people outside and they're going to kind of be gossipy. So yeah, it has nothing to do with you. And honestly, I would just say go out there, put your blinders on. Thankfully, over the next couple days, Venus will come out of an opposition with Saturn. So I do think things are going to kind of ease up a little bit. You're going to see a little less drama. Maybe watch the eclipses in March of next year. You're going to have some eclipses taking place that are still going to be in Virgo. But by next summer, the South Node's going to be out of there. So I think that there is going to be some changes in the kind of the dynamic of the neighborhood. Maybe there can also be people who are kind of moving in or moving out. And some changes revolving around, you know, your relationship to where you're living as well. But with the South Node there's a sense of like, I don't care to talk to people who are on the block. So I don't know if you kind of feel that way. I'm tired of stepping on dog poop, so I rinse the walkway down. It's gross. Yeah, so it's like you're doing the job that other people should be doing. I mean, if that's something that you're doing, go, you know, go put a sign in your yard that's saying like, you know, don't let your dog like shit on my yard. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't do that. If you're always out there washing it down, go put something out there so people are kind of put on blast, because it looks like you're really working hard to maintain, you know, and kind of keep up your space, and that's something you take a lot of pride in. So don't let other people hate on you for that. Thank you for being one of those good neighbors that cleans that up. I don't understand why people can't pick up their dog poop. That drives me crazy. All right, if you guys want to get a reading, readings are still open. Scan the QR code and you can get in the queue. We've got Alana, Austin, and Aaron. What's up, Alana? My, oh my, have you come from a, done quite a 180 in recent months, girl. From a breakup to a move to the statement I'm about to read. So Alana says, a new Taurus man is in my life. We have chemistry, but he's younger, hung up on his ex, and looking for something fun that could turn into more. He's so hot, I just want to have fun, but I'm not sure I can. Oof. All right, well, let's take a look. What can we tell Alana about this sexy Taurus? You probably like that Taurus too, because you've got all that earth energy in your chart, Virgo rising. And Taurus is still technically, for the most part, going to be your 8th. So that can be a really passionate connection. So let's see what we can tell Alana. Like, what's up with this new guy? He's young, he's hot. Is he just fun? Can she just have fun? Can she do that? All right, so in this order is what I got. Protect your heart with that 5 of Cups. I think about like Saturn and Neptune still going over your descendant, and it can mean that it's like still hard to kind of get a gauge as to whether or not people who are coming into your life are going to want what you want in a relationship, right? Saturn represents younger people, by the way, so it's not unusual to be dealing with somebody younger when you go through that Saturn transit. It's at 29 degrees pretty soon, so it's also about a younger guy. And Neptune is there where it's kind of like, what direction is he going in? He's not giving me any clarity. Justice, Chariot, and the 5 of Cups makes me feel like if you go into this being like, yeah, whatever, let's just have fun, like you will get hurt. And that's the 5 of Cups talking, specifically because the 3 of Cups is laying on the ground. There's 2 of Cups behind him. Like, I could almost see this as a situation where he's trying to get over his ex. He's too vocal with you about that. It's disrupting potential relationship kind of harmony between the 2 of you. And then there's a situation where it's like he finds out that she's moved on and she's dating other people, and he's like in a funk about it. And then you're going to be like, what the heck? Like, I'm standing right here. Like, first of all, I'm trying to date you. I'm not trying to be your therapist. Second of all, why are you dumping on me about the fact that you can't get over the fact that she's moved on? Be very careful with that, because I think that's a situation that might happen. The other thing to think about is the Justice card is coming up with a Chariot card. So it's also kind of saying like, you have shown up as a person that's like, hey, if you want relationship, if you want love, I'm here. He might be telling you he's looking for a good time, but the Justice card is saying you guys could actually be a really good, like, compatible couple, and you bring something to the table that maybe could be really good for him and like teach him a lot about relationships and like commitment and maturity, and not like an age way, but like the way you show up in relationships, right? And then the Chariot card is saying the way things are going is it's almost like rapidly approaching the direction where you're going to be going through all the motions of being in a relationship, hanging out, calling each other, you know, having sleepovers, doing whatever you're doing. And like the Chariot card can be not very safe in a way, because if you're going too fast and if you don't control the horses, the wheels fall off. So this is basically a warning that's saying if you go into this with not having a clear understanding of how he's feeling, what you want, what your boundaries are, what you're looking for, and you just are all in with the intention of, well, this could become a relationship, it ain't gonna end up that way. And it has nothing to do with you. It has more to do with the fact that I feel like, number one, he may not necessarily be ready for a relationship. I think he's looking for companionship, Justice card, and I feel like he went out looking for it, and like you're responding to that call. But it's also your responsibility that if you really want a relationship, you keep him at a safe distance. That means that you either have to keep your eyes and your mind open to other potentials. That also means that you have to kind of keep things moving. So if you feel like you're getting to a point in the relationship dynamic, likely this is going to be between Libra season. So let's say now and the full moon that's going to be in Cancer. That'll be at the beginning of January of 2026. Between the next couple of months, if you feel like it's getting to a point where the wheels are falling off and you're like, I'm falling in love with this guy, I'm turning down dates with other people, you know, I'm prioritizing him, but he's not prioritizing me, hard stop.
that needs to be a turning point where you're kind of pulling in the reins a little bit and you're like, you know what? And you may have to say this to him with the 5 of Cups coming up. Maybe you're not really ready for what I'm ready for, or, you know, when I'm with you, I want to be enjoying my time with you. I don't want to feel like you're in your head or you're thinking about your ex, or, you know, I don't want to hear about it either, because 5 of Cups can be about him coming to you with his sob stories and talking to you about him being in his feelings, and it could really disrupt the dynamic or any forward motion of you guys being able to have a relationship, right? Confirmation card is the 9 of Wands. So it's basically saying like it can get to a point where if you feel like it's the same cycle where you're enjoying your time together, you have fun, you take 2 steps forward, and then he regresses, or he finds out something about his ex, or he's having issues, or he's in his head. Like that's where you need to kind of pull back, because you're not going into this to fix him. If you're going into it because you want companionship and you want to have fun, great, but don't assume this is going to be a relationship. The only way it's going to get there is through having boundaries and also being willing to pull in the reins a little bit if you feel like your emotions or your attachment is getting out of hand. Good luck. Be careful with that one. Be careful with that one. And don't be his therapist and listening to him talk about his ex, because that's the one thing that will definitely put a knife in that. All right, we've got Austin, Aaron, Silk. I've also got Tiana, Ascended Truths, Shiza, and Yolette. So if you heard your name, I've got you. Actually, I take that back. Before we have Austin, we have Matt. So Matt's got 2 questions, and then we have Austin and Aaron. All right, so what's up, Matt? Matt's got 2 questions for me. The first one is an update on the crazy student's parents situation. So if you guys were watching previous weeks, Matt's working out of school. He's got a kid that's got parents that are kind of like helicopter parents, and he's just concerned about potential issues with the parents if there's any issues with the kids in his classroom. So everything's been going well, quiet, but Wednesday morning there was an issue with 2 kids horse playing in class, and although the situation was resolved, I'm wondering if any of the parents are going to overreact to how I handled the situation. I talked to my principal and spoke to 2 of the parents, and they both seemed pretty chill. The real crazy parent didn't respond to my message. This is just my first time teaching public school. I'm used to things being way different. I'm just doing my best and trying not to freak out about everything. Do you see anyone trying to give me problems or going after me? Just trying to rely on my Libra moon and use my best customer service voice when I talk to parents. Thank you. I love that. That's very Libra-esque. So let's take a look and see if there's anything that you need to watch out for in regards to that. All right, so does Matt need to be worried or concerned about anything in regards to these parents, or is everything chill? Seven of Coins, Temperance, the 10 of Cups, the good cards to pull. So I'm not worried about it. That 10 of Cups is saying like everybody's good, everything's gonna be fine. The Temperance card makes me feel like the crazy parent either had to bite their tongue and they couldn't, or they knew not to respond, otherwise the situation was gonna get out of hand. I feel like the 7 of Coins kind of reminds me of like you looking at the situation being like, okay, what's going on here? And like there being multiple kids involved, and possibly even like the problem child who's had issues with the crazy parent could have been at the center of some of the stuff that was going on. And I don't feel like you did anything out of line. Like you didn't, go too heavy-handed. There is a sense of you assessing the situation, talking to the kids, and honestly, however many kids were involved, all of them playing a pretty significant role in why they were being a disturbance or being a problem. The 7 of Coins is assessing the situation before making a decision, not reacting. That works in your favor. Temperance card comes up, which is saying like you came at it from a very balanced perspective. You got other people's input and involvement in, whether you went and talked to the principal or you talked to other administrative staff before you had any interaction with the parents. And also a lot of it's about resolving the issue and trying to see kind of everybody's perspective, but also going at it in a direction where you're like, this is not working. This is why I had an issue with it. This is what we're trying to kind of accomplish. This is the path forward. So it's not just about like reprimanding kids. It's about kind of saying to them, this is not the dynamic that I want in the classroom. This isn't going to be tolerated. This is how I would like to see things handled moving forward. This is what I'm saying to the kids, and this is how it's going to be. Like, it's fine. The Temperance card is about as mellow as it gets when it comes to anybody having to reprimand children. It's actually trying to get to the core of the problem, not pointing any fingers at any specific person, and also trying to really resolve it in a peaceful manner. This is also, I feel like, with the Temperance card, after like some reassessment of the situation, I don't think one of the parents really could respond because it looks like one of their kids may potentially have been kind of at the heart of the matter. And then the final card you get is the Ten of Cups, which means everything's cool, everything's resolved, there's no issues here, everyone's happy, especially because it didn't have to go there. Like, it didn't have to turn into like a nitty gritty, people are getting punished and, getting in trouble type of situation. I feel like it was more about communication with other staff, administration, and also with the parents to let them know. So that way, if there is a continuation of this behavior, everybody's involved, and you didn't approach it from immediately being like heavy-handed. You did it from a way of trying to kind of create more cohesion in terms of like the student-teacher relationship. So it's a win-win. You're not kind of like belittling the kids or like threatening the kids or scaring them. You're choosing to go at it in a more balanced way. And I think that the faculty and the staff, as well as like the family, particularly the parents, really like the way that you, I think, got them involved and you let them know what was happening. Maybe the kids didn't, but I do feel like it definitely created a much better outcome. So I'm not really worried about there being any issues. These are some of the better cards that you can actually be pulling in this scenario. All right, so the other question that you had for me was in regards to a dream. And Mr. Powers says, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I had a dream about an ex-situationship, and I'm just curious if she still thinks about me, reflects on our relationship, etc. Not super emotional about it, I'm just curious. Sounds like the Venus transit that's kind of going through Virgo, dealing with relationships from the past, and also like the oppositions that are happening to Saturn and Neptune. So that's still going to continue for like the next couple of days. So it can mean that there is a sense of like clearing out stuff in a dream. Like the 6th house Venus transit can be about you healing something, but it can represent somebody literally like dream visiting you and like creating that distance or that boundary, or reevaluating or reassessing what the relationship dynamic was to them. And like you were just kind of privileged to kind of having that dream hang out while that's getting worked out. A lot of stuff in the astral. So let's take a look. So is this person thinking about Matt? Is there any kind of connection there? Is she reflecting on their relationship? Is there anything symbolic that we need to know that's maybe a little bit deeper in regards to this dream that he had about the ex-situationship? All right, so the card that I get is the Knight of Pentacles, the 7 of Coins, the 6 of Wands. I think it's funny that you pulled the 7 of Coins twice. I feel like this is putting you in a very, maybe it's like Saturn back in your 12th house, very contemplative state. Mercury's going to go retrograde pretty soon in your 8th house, and it's kind of with Mars. So there's like a lot of reevaluating and reassessing who you are, what you want to change, how you feel. And I think that with the Page of Coins coming up, it does make me question whether or not this person is considering or contemplating connecting with you in some way. And I don't mean like this person's going to come back and they're going to want to get together, or they're going to want to hook up. It's something like that. But the Knight of Coins can mean somebody that's like, if I were to approach him, would he be open to it? Would he be interested? There can be hesitation that can come up with this card, or there can be like self-doubt. It can mean that this is a message, that there is an opportunity for you to connect with them. And I think it's going to be more about if you were to run into them or see them out and about or socially, or even if you do end up hearing from them, I think it's going to be more of somebody who's just doing a check-in, being like, hey, how's it going? How have you been? But I don't really see it manifesting or turning into anything. I think that this person might be kind of looking back at your guys' relationship dynamic, because this is in the past kind of going like, wow, that was a stand-up guy. Like that was a guy who was a good guy, and he was like patient, or, he was really into me, or there was like a really good connection. And the Seven of Coins comes up both from a standpoint of right now where they're contemplating, maybe it's you kind of being like, what did that dream mean? Does it mean that they're going to, reach out to me? Does it mean that they're thinking about me? And the Six of Wands means that if you were to interact with each other, I do think it would be, I don't think it would be negative. I think it would be somebody who's happy to see you, or they would be kind of like warm and, be, entertaining towards you. And it does talk about the possibility of some kind of connection, but it looks like it would be down the road. So at some point over like the next 6 weeks or so, if your paths were to cross, I wouldn't take it as, oh, it's a sign from the universe, we're meant to get back together. But I think it's more about this person giving you validation that you were denied while you were having this situationship. And maybe there was this wondering of, why didn't they want to connect with me? Why didn't they want to commit to me? Why did it not turn into something more? And you want that validation, but you never got it. And you might find that if you do, interact with them, or if there is some way for them to kind of get connected to you in the near future, they would be somebody who's a little bit warm and friendly and might be like, oh, you were amazing, you're a great guy. And like tell you the things that you wish you had heard when you guys were going back and forth, when you couldn't figure out like what the deal was and why you guys couldn't make it work. I also think the Six of Wands is saying that it could be a better go around. I do think that it can also indicate that, if you guys were to interact with each other in a social sense, I think the Six of Wands really reflects you being more confident and being kind of like, yeah, that's great. She comes around, but I don't really care, and like kind of just letting it kind of brush off of your shoulders and not feeling like you're really affected by the fact that she may be friendly or more kind of, interested than she was before. And so there's going to be this newfound sense of like confidence in the way that you're handling the situation. And maybe it's good because that's very different than maybe how she kind of left the dynamic with you in the past. Matt says, in the dream, she didn't care about me at all. Well, I think with the Knight of Coins coming up, it could very well be, because your sixth house where Venus is, it could mean they're dreaming about you. And you're just kind of seeing that whole thing kind of going on because you're sharing like a lucid space. So with the Six of Coins and the Seven of Coins, it's kind of being like, well, why is she showing up in my dreams if she's not sure about me, or she's hesitant, or, she doesn't want to invest any time or energy with me? I think that this is a complete emotional or psychological reevaluation that she's kind of going through, and you're just picking up the fact that there is some kind of interest that, she's thinking about you or she's dreaming about you. But if you encounter her in real life, or if there's any weird 6 degrees of separation situation that happens over the next couple of months, I would advise you to not be somebody who is, trying to be like, hey, how's it going? Like, let her come to you. Because this is about her kind of not righting the wrong, but treating you differently than how she's treated you in the past. And also, I think it's about kind of showing this person that you're cool, you're confident, you're moving on, you're not really feeling like you're hung up on that situation. And I don't think you are, but it's going to be about showing them that, because the Six of Wands is about kind of moving on from that and being like, yeah, that was in the past, we're good, and not also making that person feel like there's any weirdness and acting like, you're over it, out of sight, out of mind. But I think this is more about them than it is about you. So let me know if you end up running into her or hearing anything. But yeah, I could see how like the Knight of Coins and the Seven of Coins could also be about a complete reassessment, and you're like, wow, this person made me feel like I was insignificant, or they didn't really, think I was important, or they didn't give me the time of day, and like kind of coming away from that dream being like, well, screw that. Like, I'm not going to let somebody make me feel bad about myself. I'm going to kind of build myself up and not feel like I'm kind of getting stuck in the past. Hopefully that's helpful and things continue to be good on the school front. Let me know. All right, we have Austin, and we also have Aaron and Silk. And if you guys want to get in for a reading, the readings are still open. We'll leave it up for a little bit longer. It looks like Yolette got in there. All right, so let's take Austin and then Aaron and then Silk. What's up, Austin? Austin says, hi, Candace. Things have been a little rocky lately, and I'm trying my best to go with the flow. A heavy work schedule has not peaked. What's in the cards for my home love life? Thank you for the time. As always, you rock. All right, well, let's take a look. That seems to be the vibe lately. All these planets in opposition to Saturn. Everybody's like overworked, underpaid, not feeling it in the love department. So let's take a look and see what's coming up for Austin when it comes to home and love life. Yeah, you're on the list, Shiza. Sag rising. All right, so this is the order that I got here. Devil, Lovers, and the Queen of Cups. I think about like Pisces, Saturn and Neptune going back into Pisces for any of the mutable risings. You know, it's not squaring your ascendant anymore, but definitely you're going to be seeing that there is this need to kind of deal with Saturn stuff. Okay, so the Devil card can be talking about being stuck in a situation, feeling limited, feeling trapped. It can also mean that you're dealing with Saturn-related things. And obviously Saturn deals with restriction and limitation, and it's in the 4th house, so it's emotionally or on the home front. So you're going to be dealing with that until the beginning of the year. You're kind of like in the last, you know, stretch of this Saturn and Neptune transit. And as it kind of embarks in the beginning of the year and it goes back into Aries, it's going to be a lot more friendly for Sag rising. What I would really recommend doing is take a look at what's happened over the last like 2 months. Eclipses at the South Node in your 6th house in opposition to Saturn have predominantly been kind of telling you, you can show up to work, but if you're just going through the motions and if you're feeling depleted and emotionally you're not paying attention to what's going on, or you're not taking time to rest, or you're not creating that downtime or focusing on your home zone or creating that foundational base, then, you know, it's going to leave you feeling depleted. And you really need to watch over the next 6 months, as we start to see planets come into Sagittarius. That's going to be midway point through the eclipse season, particularly around the Gemini full moon is when you're really going to see your chart light up like a Christmas tree, the Lovers. And it's about where there is some relational dynamics that are coming up that's kind of helping guide you make some better decisions, or, you know, get better connected in relationships, maybe getting feedback, getting support from a reader or even a therapist in how to navigate the dynamic between, you know, working too much or, you know, not taking care of your emotional health. Sagittarius season is going to be a time that you have to watch that. So that'll be November into December. I really feel like the Devil card and the Lovers card is also, it can be kind of indicating that because of your work schedule and the way that you have things set up, or maybe you're feeling like you're working because you're just trying to kind of get by or making ends meet. When you're not working, you're coming home, you're crashing out, you're going to sleep. You may be settling for what can feel like fast food relationships because you're like, this is my work dynamic. This is all I've got the energy or the time for. It has to come in this way. It has to be easy. Or maybe you feel like you're kind of lowering the bar when it comes to, you know, relationship stuff, because you've just got so many limitations right now with just how your life is kind of set up. Or emotionally, you could be feeling very limited as well. So I'd be watching out for that if I was a Sag rising. The Lovers card does talk about options and choices. And so it is trying to kind of make you realize that, you know, you do have a choice. You can choose to kind of restructure things or work things in a different way. I think that it'll be a process you'll work through for the next 6 months until you're getting to, you know, other eclipses that are going to be in Virgo in March of next year. And there's even more eclipses coming in Pisces, that you need more emotional rest, or you need to be focusing on what's going on with home and personal matters. Otherwise, you're going to keep going to work, you're going to get burnt out, or you're going to see that there's going to be some relational issues that are going to happen in where you're almost having to take a step back from work because of some kind of home or family related issue. Now, I think the Lovers card is saying stay open to love, stay open to relationships, keep your eyes open. It's also saying that people might be kind of coming in and giving you a little bit more of better relational dynamics. Queen of Cups can be talking about, you know, a partnership that's going to set up that feels very emotionally in alignment. Somebody who can be very intuitive, they could read you very well. Also, it could mean that you're really needing or craving companionship and you're wanting to feel like you have somebody that you can lean on as you're kind of going through this season of change, both with home and like work situations. It could also mean that a relationship is a pivotal turning point for kind of helping you kind of realize, or I think reassess, you know, where some of your values are. And it may have been work, 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 and more work, but maybe somebody comes in that makes you realize, hey, actually, I want more free time. I want to spend time with them, or they make me want to kind of better my life. And it makes you kind of shift the way that you're looking at your job, you know, kind of private life dynamic. I would be watching for some pivotal things that are going to be happening, you know, Capricorn season, and also that full moon in Gemini, knowing that it'll be in your 7th house. That's going to be a peak relationship time. And also listening to what your emotions are trying to tell you right now. Because you might look at things and go, well, it doesn't really make sense for me to kind of factor a relationship into my life because I'm feeling stressed out about work, or I don't have a lot of extra energy, or I'm burnt out. But this might be good for you because a partnership can come in and it can kind of serve as like, you know, your muse, and like somebody comes in and like lights your whole world up, and then you're like, oh my God, I've been, you know, like not really taking stock of the life that I'm wanting to build, or, you know, I haven't been prioritizing, you know, taking care of my house, or I have been working too much. And suddenly it's going to help kind of revamp other areas of your life. That's going to make you want to do life with another person. So really, I would say December, January, February-ish is when you're going to see these things start to kind of turn. Obviously, Uranus in and out of your opposite sign can also bring some exciting new changes with relationships, and going back into Taurus is some pretty dramatic work changes. And I think a lot of Sag risings are going to find during the Mercury retrograde that they're like, you know what, I do need some downtime. I do need to, you know, take some mental health days, or I'm going to be traveling, or I'm going to be doing, you know, meditation or some like retreat work. And really be reassessing, you know, where you have been overworking, or where there have been some blockages in relationships in particular. Mercury rules your 7th. I mean, you're going to work through some of that stuff, and you're going to start to kind of formulate, you know, what habits you need to change, what scheduling things you need to change to start making space for somebody to kind of enter into your life, right? So hopefully you can do that, and you can kind of overcome some of these habits that might be relating to overworking or lifestyle things. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Austin. Good luck. I've got Aaron, Silk, and then Tiana. What's up, Aaron? All right, so Aaron says, I am seeing signs everywhere and I can feel something coming. Can you give me an overall read on my love life, specifically with my ex, who I believe is the one? What does the next couple months into 2026 hold? All right, so you're seeing signs, you feel like something's gonna happen that's connected to your love life, and you think your ex is the one, and you wanna know if that seems like it's in the cards. So let's take a look. All right, Aaron, well, this is for you. I have got the Knight of Wands, the Judgment card, and the Six of Wands. Aaron, are you seeing these signs when you're like in transit? Like, are you seeing signs on license plates? Are you seeing signs on the side of the road? Is there anything connected with like driving or like transportation? I gotta ask you, because the Knight of Wands is about being in action and like the signs coming quickly, or something that's like coming when you're commuting or when you're coming or going from places. If not, watch for that. Look for the license plates, look for like the numbers, the signs, like stuff like that, because I think that you're gonna see them. And when the Knight of Wands comes up, it's kind of like putting like a fire underneath your, you know, your butt. It's like trying to get you to like pay attention or catch your attention. So I don't think you're crazy. I think you are getting messages about things, but I feel like the message is, it's almost kind of like, you know, the next couple of months, maybe the next 6 months or so, is like now or never with this type of person. So you might be interpreting it as, they're the one, they're going to come back, you know, we're going to make it work, we're going to be together. And I would say the jury's still out on that. The Judgment card does seem to kind of indicate and imply that a decision needs to be made. And so that's that now or never energy. That's like, okay, maybe the window of opportunity is closing. If you are, you know, feeling all of these like energies about, oh, I'm getting messages and they're the one, I think it's that you're going to be in a relationship. There is going to be a pretty defining, you know, kind of shift in regards to your relationship energy. And because that is coming in, their window of opportunity is closing. He or they need to be the ones that are actually making the moves, because the, you know, the Knight of Wands is somebody who maybe, you know, picking up on, you know, oh, maybe she's moved on. Maybe, you know, there's somebody else. Do I need to kind of like rush in and be like, hey, you know, I'm still thinking about you. It's really putting the pressure on them to like act and, you know, kind of get to the point where they're more so ready to kind of meet you where you are in relationship land. The Judgment card is also saying like, this is the last go round. So I don't think it's going to be a continuation of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I think it's going to be like, okay, if they come through here in the next couple of weeks or months, this is the last time that we are going to give it a go. And if it doesn't work, then I'm going to move on. But I do feel like the Six of Wands does seem to kind of indicate it can be more successful. It can be also like a welcomed homecoming. This is making me feel like, you know, if they come back around or they reach out to you or you run into them, It'll be serendipitous. It can be something where you're both very happy to see each other. There can be a lot of anticipation in, you know, where you guys are kind of going together, or maybe it's that it's been the right person, but it's been the wrong timing. And maybe like the timing is better now, kind of going into the next couple of months for you guys to be able to actually try again. I also like the speed of things. I feel like the Judgment card is kind of saying, hey, like have the conversations, don't drag it out. The Knight of Wands is really putting the pressure on him to take kind of direct, you know, action when it comes to going after the girl. And the Six of Wands does talk about you guys potentially not only having a better go around this time, but also feeling like, you know, that he has the same mutual feelings for you. And so like kind of talking about it and being like, oh, you know, I've had this feeling it was going to be you at some point. You might see that it's mutual. And both of you guys have like a sense of ease in knowing that both of you feel the same way about each other. And that's going to make you feel more confident in trying to give it a go in the future. So yeah, but the window of opportunity is closing for him, because you will go into a relationship. But if he can respond to this message, and if he realizes that now is the time to act, he may be able to, you know, try to get in there before you potentially meet someone else. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Good luck, Aaron. Let me know what happens. We are going to call last call. So if you guys want to get in, scan the QR code and you can get in the queue. I've got Silk and Tiana and Ascended Truths. Thanks, Austin. All right, so let's see what Silk has to say. I went out on a date with a guy who I don't typically go for, but I decided to give it a shot. It was nice and attentive so far, but I'm not sure about him and our connection. My question is, what do I need to know about him, and is he a solid match? Let's take a look. So, what do we need to know about this guy Silk went on a date with? Not her usual type. But, you know, is there something that she needs to know? And is he a match? Seven of Wands. What's the confirmation card? Justice card. Okay, so it's just confirming what, I mean, anything relationship oriented that I'm about to tell you. I kind of feel like the Seven of Wands is like fighting an uphill battle, right? So in some ways it can mean stand your ground, don't back down, don't let people push you around, you know, keep pushing, you can do it. But in other ways, I look at this, and in like in a relationship sense, when you're dating somebody, it's about you kind of looking at the situation going, you know, how long do I want to continue to put something into it if I feel like it's maybe not going to go anywhere, or it's like an uphill battle. Wands are about attraction. It's about passion, and there has to be chemistry. And also the Seven of Wands means that you can't fight the way that you're feeling. So you can show up and they can be a really nice guy, and, you know, there could be a lot of attentiveness, and there's, you know, maybe great communication and all that stuff. But if you feel like you go on a couple dates with this person and you're like, there's no spark there, there's no chemistry there, I'm feeling like I'm having to force it, it's okay to acknowledge that. It's not you being picky or particular. The Seven of Wands can remind you that you need to kind of stand your ground, and that there are certain things that are non-negotiable when it comes to, you know, relationship potentials. And one of which I think would be chemistry. That if you feel like you're getting to a point where it feels like a chore, you're having to push yourself to be affectionate or to continue to go on dates with somebody and it just doesn't feel authentic, then it's about standing up for that. And also, you know, just kind of knowing that, you know, if you stay consistent, you'll be able to kind of find a match that you're looking for. But not feeling like you're having to force yourself, or if you're approaching going on dates with this person where it's starting to become like a chore, that's when you're going to kind of know maybe this is not potentially the one for me. So I'm sure he's a great guy. And I don't think it's necessarily even anything that there's wrong with him. I just think that it may feel like the chemistry is not necessarily a match. If you feel like giving it a shot and going on a couple dates, so be it. But I feel like you'll kind of cut the head off the snake early and kind of just be like, look, this is great, but you know, I just don't really know if I see this going anywhere, and keeping it moving is very much kind of associated with the Seven of Wands. Hopefully that's helpful, Silk. Try to let him down easy, girl. All right, Tiana is up next, followed by Ascended Truth and Shiza. Tiana says, I need to stop playing and book an astrology reading with you, but can I get that Q4 reading? All right, let's do it. Yeah, it's a tough one getting it with me. I'm booking in like February right now. So if you're Pisces, Aquarius, or in Aries, you want a reading, go book your sessions for next year. All right, so let's see what we can tell Kiana about what's coming up for Q4 of 2025. October, November, December. What do the cards have in store for her this next quarter? I like these cards. I like these cards a lot. And it makes sense. You know, I can't help but think about just how important it is watching Saturn and Neptune go back into Pisces. Guys, this is the last sign of the zodiac. This is a very rare and unusual transit, seeing Saturn and Neptune in the same sign. We are going to see them come into Aries in the new year, and it's going to go off with a bang. So it's going to be something brand new that's going to initiate. We're finally kind of putting all of these things that we've been kind of grappling with for like the last 2 years in the past. So the Hangman is reflective. It's quiet. This is a card that deals with Pisces. This is also a card of turning within and listening to your gut and your intuition and taking time to actively practice meditation, reflection, journaling, yoga, you know, anything that's going to be reflective and spiritual in nature. And really asking yourself, you know, what am I willing to sacrifice? What can I give up? What can I let go? I know for some people, you know, it's going to materialize as habits or relationships or financial sacrifices or jobs or, you know, changes with, you know, even health related things. But for you, I feel like this is about you really making some moves when it comes to overall long-term plans. And this can be home and family plans. Obviously, 10 of Cups is coming up. This can be financial plans. But I feel like you're like, you know what? I'm actually feeling like even though the future is uncertain, there is a sense of me feeling like on the other side of that, there's something really positive that's coming up for me. And it can mean for your family, your living situation, your relationships. 10 of Cups is about a completion. So it's about feeling overjoyed with, you know, ultimately what manifests come the beginning of the year. And I think there's something to be said about that as well. Like, you know, right now, Venus opposing Saturn, a lot of us are feeling like we're not getting what we want. And then it'll continue for a couple of days, but whatever is kind of being delayed, we're actually going to see over the next week, Venus going into Libra is going to say, you know what, I didn't get that thing that I wanted, or that relationship didn't work out, or the money got delayed, or, you know, something didn't hit, but I pivoted and I went in a different way. So it looks like you're observing over the next 2 or 3 months, not only listening to your intuition more when it comes to matters of the heart and also finances, but there's a side of you that's just like, I can let things go, I can start over, I can hit reset, and I know that if I do it willingly, something better is going to come from that. That could be more emotionally fulfilling, better relationships, good news for your home and your family situation. And the Ace of Pentacles talks a lot about winter, so this is about the season of winter, but it also talks about money, new opportunities financially, better health, new job opportunities. I see this as like manifesting, you know, abundance, manifesting a new job, manifesting better health, tuning into the frequency and the emotional feelings of what it feels like to get that increase in your salary, to get the better paying job, to get, you know, to where you want to be health-wise. And you're investing more in your mental and your emotional health. And I think that's a big one. You're making decisions and prioritizing on simplifying your life in ways that is actually in the long term going to give you better, I think, physical, financial support, but also better relationships as well. So be really thinking about how you can declutter, how you can release things, be thinking about what sacrifices you can make for better long-term emotional and financial goals, okay? Hopefully I see you soon. Thanks for getting a reading. All right, and we've got Ascended Truth, and then we've got Shiza and Yolette. So we are calling last call now, so get in, or we'll catch you next week. Ascended Truth says, what's happening with my 2 jobs? Looking for a promotion. All right, well, let's see if I can tell you what's going on, Ascended Truth. She's got 2 jobs. She wants a promotion. What is it looking like the outcome is in regards to that? And what does she need to know about the job situation? All right, so in this order, we've got the 5 of coins, the 8 of coins, and the Emperor. She's been working hard for the money, wanting to get that recognition, really kind of busting your backside, just killing it. You know, the Emperor talks about what's going on with Aries in your chart, and also talks about what's going on with Mars. So pay attention to some of the transits, like Mercury and Mars are going to conjunct in this next week. That might be a time to watch. A lot of people are going to renegotiate benefits or salaries and things in November. But for me, I'm kind of feeling like a lot of this is connected to taking control of the situation and being very clear and really applying yourself more specifically to the role that you feel like is going to bring you the most success. So I don't know if you're working 2 separate jobs or if you're working like 2 separate departments. But right now, the 5 of coins is like saying you have been feeling like you've been left out in the cold. You haven't gotten the recognition you need. Also, you maybe feel like you've been kind of struggling when it comes to finances or, you know, job consistency. It can also feel like you're going about doing your job and you're not getting the feedback, or you're not getting the support, whether that's the support in your position, if you're not getting people who are, you know, kind of supporting you and letting you know that you're doing a great job, and you can kind of be feeling like you're just hanging out, waiting for somebody to kind of notice you or help you. It's a difficult card. So you're kind of moving on from that, and you're moving into the 8 of coins. So I wonder if this is about prioritizing either one of the jobs or the positions that you feel like actually has room for growth. Now, right now, it looks like it's not ideal for you to be picking one over the other. It looks like physically or financially, you have to do 2. But over the next like 8 weeks or so, I think you could see a shift where you're really dedicating yourself more. There is going to be much more focus in fine tuning and like the skill and the detail that's going to go into one of the positions. And it's also about just like being very busy over like the holiday season. So I don't know if you're in something that's seasonal or something that's connected to the service industry, but you're not going to have lack of employment. If anything, you're going to be like really giving it your all the next couple of months. This can also mean that through hard work and dedication, you're actually impressing or improving on your status with a boss or somebody who is a superior. And so it can mean that, you know, because they're kind of seeing how hard you're working, they're seeing your consistency and your commitment to your job. The Emperor card talks about moving into like something that could be management oriented, or that this could be something where you're finally getting like the recognition that you need, and you could be moving into a position where you're having a little bit more authority. This can also be talking about Mars transits. It can also be discussing anything connecting to Aries season. So I think of like next year, March and April, you know, we're going to see all these planets go into Aries. We're going to see Saturn and Neptune conjunct in Aries in February. So February, March, April is going to be a really prominent time. And Ascending Truth says, Aries, rising, Cancer, Sun, Libra, Moon. Been asking one of my jobs for a promotion, but keeps saying waiting for a contract. So part of what's going on is that number 1 is you're having eclipses in your 6th house. So there hasn't been a lot of consistency and communication with like work and schedule. Number 2, Mercury will conjunct Mars, your chart ruler. And that's going to be happening for you in literally like the next 2 weeks. And when Mercury retrogrades in November, it's about going back and forth and negotiating something in regards to like pay and benefits. And that will trine Saturn, which is good for work. It will also trine Jupiter, which is good for emotional security. So it's about feeling your worth, knowing your worth, going back and forth, hitting it hard, talking about that in about 4 weeks time. Probably about mid to the end of November is a good time to hash that out. And from like the Cancer moon perspective, I mean, obviously, the Cancer sun perspective, Saturn is also squaring, you know, your sun, and then you've got a Libra moon. So you're getting it all across the board. The best time for you to be negotiating this stuff is going to be like the next 6 to 8 weeks. You will also find that there is going to be a really pivotal period as a bunch of planets go through Capricorn, like the end of December, early January. It's a really big build-up period for your work. And then Saturn and Neptune will conjunct in February. So February through April, you know, as you're getting into Aries season and Aries transits, if these things have not happened by then, you're going to be like, I'm taking matters into my own hands. Whether that's looking for another job, addressing, you know, the boss, deciding maybe that you're like, okay, I'm burnt out on this, I'm going in another direction. That is going to be crunch time for you, both as an Aries rising, but also as a Cancer sun. So keep that in the back of your mind that you have a good opportunity to be able to work out some of the kinks now, but come the spring, you're going to be less willing to negotiate. Taking charge and really kind of channeling that Emperor kind of Aries energy is definitely the direction that you want to go in. Hopefully that's helpful. Good work juju for you, Ascending Truth. All right, I've got Shiza. Shiza says, I contacted my ex Libra 3 weeks ago and his dad, what? On his dad's condolences. We hadn't spoken in 4 years. I'm an Aquarian, February 18th, 92. I would like to know, did he read my email and what is he feeling now about me and will he respond in the future? Okay, I contacted him 3 weeks ago on his dad's condolences. So what does this have to do with his dad? I'm trying to understand your question. So you guys haven't dated in 4 years. You sent him an email. You want to know how he feels after he read that email and if he's going to respond. But what is the purpose or the reason behind the connection with his dad? Like, did his dad pass away? Did something happen? I emailed him 3 weeks ago because his dad passed away. Okay, got it. All right, so let's take a look. So since that email is, he feeling a certain way about her, is he going to be responding to her in the future? And did he read it? So let's take a look. All right, so the cards that I get are the Four of Coins, the Tower card, and the Three of Swords. So my thought is that there was a delay in reading your message. The Four of Coins makes me feel like that, he got the email. I don't think he was either physically or emotionally super present at the time and like had the capabilities of being able to kind of go through everything and get back to everybody. And I feel like he was overwhelmed. The Four of Coins can also mean that he got your email and he's holding on to it. So he could be using it because he feels like it's a sense of strength, or that what you said to him was like very helpful for him emotionally in the moment and like dealing with and processing this. And I don't feel like it's just something that he just threw away and went, no. I think he kept it. I think he read it. And I think that life has been quite chaotic for him and it's been a little challenging for him to get back to you. I also think that the Tower card can make me feel like, right now there is a sense of you being like, oh my God, I reached out to him, he didn't respond. Like, should I not have done that? And kind of thinking like worst case scenario or kind of wigging out. And I would say don't, because it looks like everything's been kind of turned upside down. The Four of Coins means that he could be deep in, dealing with some family financial matters. It could also mean that he is going through his grieving process and he doesn't feel physically or emotionally up to just getting back to everybody, and that he's, kind of really keeping a small circle right now and kind of trying to stay, protective of his energy and his heart. It's nothing personal. It just looks like this is how he's kind of grieving. And the Tower card is saying like, yeah, I think there's a lot of things that, have shifted since he lost his father. And I think a lot of it is family related things, business related things that could be financial kind of tied to the family. And like, it looks like this has been all consuming. The Knight of Swords does seem to kind of insinuate that there is intention to respond back to you, or that he knows how to get a hold of you, and that there is going to possibly be some communication in the future. Four of Cups is coming up, so I could see where there is some kind of disappointment, or where you're like, okay, he's leaving me on the edge of my seat. Is he going to get back to me? I do think it's likely that you will hear something from him. I don't think it's going to be about trying to reconcile or reconnecting in a romantic sense. I also think that, you've got Four of Coins that are coming up as confirmation, Four of Cups, so that could be at some point over the next 4 weeks or 4 months. But to me, it looks like it would be a quick response. The Knight of Swords would be like, got your email. I appreciate that. I hope you're well. Thanks. It's not going to be this like lengthy email response. I don't really feel like it's going to be very emotional, both from a place of not really having a lot of bandwidth for that. And I also think it's not going to be very emotional relationship oriented, because the Knight of Swords is somebody who's direct, cutting to the point, responding to the message, saying what they have to say, and like that's it. So if there was any intent on opening that door to you guys having relationship renewal or reconnection or anything like that, I don't really see that. I see it more about him feeling like he responds when he has the opportunity to respond. I do think that it will be heartfelt, and he does appreciate what you sent him, because it looks like there's been very few people that have reached out to him that took the time to do something very personal and very considerate. And I think that he read that and he found it very touching. But I feel like he's got a lot of stuff that he's processing, and it's really difficult for him to find the time and also the words to sit down and do this. But there is intention, because it looks like he held your email to actually get back to you when the dust starts to settle. And when he does, I think you will get a response, but I wouldn't expect something super lengthy, and I don't know if it's going to actually translate into a little bit of like a back and forth in communication. I think it's just going to be letting you know he received that and saying thank you, and that's pretty much going to be it. I say that because the confirmation that I get is the Four of Cups, so it does look like there is a little bit of disappointment on your part regarding the style or the way that he responds to you, or what he ultimately ends up saying. So I would say don't get your hopes up. Eventually, it looks like you will get something, but I feel like it's just more of a thank you, and then, you know, he's going to kind of keep it moving. So really kind of you to send that. It looks like, you know, whatever you said to him, or whatever heartfelt kind of message you put into the email was really helpful for him at the time, because I don't feel like he got a lot of like personal kind of correspondence or back and forth from people that know him very well outside of like maybe family. And it looks like he is, unfortunately, you know, like I said, grieving and going through a process of where he's kind of keeping to himself, and he's kind of shutting down a little bit as he goes through some of the fallout and like the restructuring that's happening with the family after losing his dad. So hopefully within the next 4 weeks, 4 months, you hear something, even if it's just saying, hey, I got your email, you know, and letting you know, so you don't feel like, oh my God, you know, did he leave me hanging? I don't think so. And we've got Yolette. Let's see what Yolette has to say. Yolette says, hi, I am a Leo rising and Leo sun, Pisces moon. I've got so much going on right now. Most of the financial responsibilities in relationship, renovating work that needs to be done. I'm working a lot. I also want to open a business for additional income, and I'm tired. Open to receiving what I need to know for what's in store for the remainder of the year when it comes to what I need to focus on. Thanks in advance. Well, Leo rising, Leo sun, you got Saturn and Neptune that are going back into Pisces where your moon is, and a lot of it is emotional transformation. Also, a lot of it is going to be about balancing kind of like resource stuff with partnerships, because Saturn was your relationship. So you're in like the last stretch over the next couple of months of feeling kind of limited when it comes to joint finances with a partner. So let's see what the cards seem to think, just in terms of, you know, kind of balancing all of this work, and also being in a situation where there's some income stressors, and if there's any advice in regards to what's coming up for the remainder of the year. King of Pentacles, the Chariot, and the Empress. I love that you're like, I've got this going on, I've got that going on, I'm paying the bills, but also I want to start another business. And the cards are like, yes, you know, which is like crazy, but you're a fixed sign, so nobody can tell you what to do or not to do. I think that I would be really curious to see what happens with the eclipses in the beginning of next year, because they will start happening now in Aquarius. That'll start in February. You're gonna have a solar eclipse, which is gonna be very, very much relationship oriented. Good time to be like putting out a new business, new services, you know, having something that you can sell. It is going to be squaring Uranus in your 10th house. So it's also about changes with relationships and how relationships can be contributing to some changes at work. So I wonder, you know, if you're going through some relationship stuff where you're feeling like some limitation with finances, you know, do you do that with a business partner? Do you do that with a romantic partner and kind of get them involved to kind of help build something? It's possible. King of Pentacles can be talking about your relationship with a man. It could be talking about a financial person who's coming in that's benefiting you, that's helping you, that's guiding you in getting some assistance and getting some of these projects or ideas up and off the ground. Particularly earth signs, so like Capricorns, Virgos, and Tauruses can be prominent people. We've also got the Chariot card, so it is talking about full steam ahead. This is a process that I think that you're going to be working on now, but I think it's going to be coming more so full circle, more or less next summer. So think of like April, May, June, July, August. That's when you're going to really see things start to ramp up. The Chariot card talks about traveling or getting from point A to point B. It can also be talking about coming up with a game plan, so you can kind of put all of this together. Tackling some of the stuff that's going on in the home front seems to be most important first, because the Chariot can talk about kind of having some direction when it comes to home and family matters. And so, you know, those responsibilities kind of weighing heavy on you in your relationship, and also like, you know, doing the renovations, another thing at home, like do that first. And I know that maybe you're feeling the financial impact of that, but get that underway, or at least have a plan for that. And then it looks like you're going to be more capable and focused of prioritizing some of your own business stuff in the spring. You know, the Empress talks about anything you touch kind of coming to life, and, you know, having a thriving business, you know, feeling that you're really pouring yourself into projects that you love, doing things that can be, you know, connecting to beauty, wellness, women, luxury, anything that's indulgent. You are Leo rising, so Taurus is your 10th house, and Uranus is coming back into your 10th house. So it can mean that there is an opportunity for you to be like, hey, I want to start a new business, you know, to make some money. And I would personally recommend using the Mercury retrograde in November, while Mercury's retrograde in your 5th house, to reevaluate and reassess, okay, I need a creative space that I can work from. The house stuff is kind of chaotic. Let's get the housing plans and everything ready in November. So that way I feel like I can have this peace at the end of the year to start working on my creative work. Work through some of the financial stuff, especially up until about March of next year. Watch your budgeting and your expenses. And then as you're getting into March, April, May, that's kind of like the Empress season. That's going to be more opportunities for new launches in regards to your work and your career. But I do think that you need to come up with a plan where you're either working with like a, you know, a business partner, or maybe you're talking to a financial advisor, or even your partner about being like, if these are the things we want to do, and this is the current situation, you know, how do we get from point A to point B, and like, how can you help me? And so if they're having some financial limitations or like some issues at work or not working, I would be like, how can they help you get some of this stuff done? So that way you feel like you have more freedom and the ability to focus on some of the other things that you want to launch. I do think something successful can definitely come from this. The Emperor's card in the Chariot is saying that if you're investing yourself in what you love and you're really dedicated to it, it can go well. And you may even be able to find like an investor or somebody who is willing to kind of, you know, be an angel investor, or somebody who really, you know, wants to partner with you and maybe says, okay, I'll give you the money, you know, you go and launch it, and then we'll, you know, we'll do business together. There can be somebody who can help you do that. So I would be kind of reevaluating whether or not you'd be willing to take on somebody as a partner to get some of these things going, because it looks like a little bit of like financial support and, you know, kind of involvement can actually get the wheels greased, and it can get things moving forward, especially with you, you know, come the spring of next year. So look for those opportunities, but get your house in order first is my advice. Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, guys. Well, that is it for me this Friday. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that subscription button and that thumbs up down below. I'll be back here on Sunday to do Astro Weather for you guys. We're going to talk all about Venus in Libra. You guys don't want to miss it. It's a much better week next week. And you can catch me here next Friday for New Moon in Libra readings. So sign up for my level 4 members. I'll catch you guys here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys all very soon. Take care.